Hey y'all. Okay, let's talk about your to-do list for this week. It is a wee bit on the long side. As you can see here, we are looking at the compare and contrast rough draft. Some of you have already sent me via email your rough drafts, which is fine. However, that's not really where I give feedback, unless it's a super special um, reason. So I will give feedback when you submit your rough draft. Um, and I will give it hopefully fairly quickly. But this week you will be working on your rough draft. Um, you want to start by reading the chapter 20, that talks about comparison and contrast. This is going to tell you how to do this type of work, how to do this type of writing. Read the chapter 20. Then we've got the instructions, which we're going to go over here in just a second. Then we've got topic ideas. The topic is up to you. But I do strongly suggest that you look at the rubric and give some consideration to the aspect of the rubric that addresses critical thinking and college level writing. If you're going to compare and contrast, dogs and cats, you're going to have a hard time. That's pretty basic, and you're not going to be able to say anything that I haven't heard a billion times already. So please try to come up with a topic that you care about and is interesting to you, and that you might be able to discuss in such a way that your reader will really be captivated and want to actually read your essay. So we've got topic ideas. Then you want to think about how to organize your essay. So we've got a text here for you to read about how to organize it. We've got some videos for you to watch. We've got a website on introductions and conclusions. If you're anything like me, introductions are the more difficult of the two to write, but I think everybody has challenges with both of them, introductions and conclusions. Neither one are especially easy, so please make sure that you pay some close attention to that. We're going to go over this student sample essay that does a really super job of comparing and contrasting. And it is not one from a class that I have taught, but it is such a good example that I have kept it. You do not have to do the checklist quiz. I'm going to take that out. I've taken that out of this side over here on the left, and I forgot to take it out here. So when you get this, when you view this video, it will look a little different from what you see on your own screen. This is going to go away. You don't have to do the checklist quiz either. You don't have to do the checklist quiz. But you do need to do your compare contrast rough draft, and you want to write at least 450 words, and submit it way down here at the bottom. Compare contrast rough draft. This has got, let's see, does this have the this does not have the rubric for the final draft associated with it, but I will, by the time you see this video, it will be in the instructions. So you probably want to take a look at that. I'll talk about that right now. Your rubric is going to be the same throughout each one of the essays that you write. Each one of the levels of points for each of these areas is going to be roughly the same until you get down here to grammar, mechanics, word choice, and formatting. These things up here at the top, these are the high value items, up to 25 points is applied to clarity and focus, critical thinking, organization, and then we get into the lower value information, which is the grammar, mechanics, etc., etc. So you want to go over this rubric and become as familiar with it as possible as you are working, and use it kind of as a checklist. Have I done this? Do I feel like I have been attentive to clarity and focus enough so that I can get the points that I need? And this tells you exactly what needs to happen for your clarity and focus to fall within that 23 to 25 point range. You need to clearly follow the assignment. Make sure your introduction has a hook, some background information, make sure it's compelling, and make sure that it has a strong thesis statement. Next, your support, content development, and critical thinking. You have strong topic sentences that effectively support your thesis development, your thesis statement. Your body paragraphs contain strong support for topic sentences, meaning that each body paragraph needs to have topic sentences, and those topic sentences need to support the thesis statement of the whole essay. You need to have an effective conclusion that sums up the essay and then has a nice parting thought. Your organization, coherence, and style needs to follow these things as well. Your essay is clearly organized in emphatic order, is easy to read, and has smooth transitions. Consistent formal tone and point of view. Varied sentence structure. In other words, your sentence structure isn't short bullet-like sentences throughout. You have some long sentences, you have some short sentences, you have some sentences with semicolons, and you have some sentences that maybe are a little bit more complex than others. Your tone is consistently formal, means that you keep in mind that you are writing for an academic audience, and what you are writing does not sound like you're chatting with your best friend. You don't directly address the audience. You don't ask your audience questions. You don't write this like it's a TED Talk. That is a specific genre, and there's nothing wrong with that. This genre is a scholarly academic essay. And in a scholarly academic essay, we don't write in such a way that it sounds like we are writing a speech. Speeches are fine, but this is not a speech. So you want to make sure you don't address the audience. Don't ask your audience questions. Don't speak directly to the audience. And then, of course, grammar, mechanics, word choice, MLA formatting. All of these are pretty basic and pretty obvious. So that's your rubric, and I will have that attached up here. Oh, over here in the rough draft section, it will be attached down here in the submit, compare, contrast rough draft. The rubric I'm going to use for the rough draft, however, is a little bit more straightforward and to the point, because we are in a rough draft situation. The only stuff that I'm concerned about is that you submit it on time and that you submit enough of that essay so that I can determine, are you on the right track or not? So that's all that you need to worry about. And if you do those two things, you submit enough work, 400 words or more, and you do it before the due date, you've got a big fat A right there in that rough draft grading area. If you submit it late, you lose some points. If you don't have, this says 450 and the rubric says 400, you need to submit 450, and I will update that to the rough draft so that it says 450. But if you do those things, your rough draft will have an A. please note, there is no grade associated with the content itself. I will comment on the content itself, but the grade is not going to apply to the content. So if you submit your stuff on time and you've got this rough draft that you turn in and it's on time and there's 450 words there, and I read it and I comment on it and I say, okay, it's on time and there's 450 words, there's that A. But then you don't take any of the suggestions that I make, you don't make any changes to it. It's likely that your grade, when you look at the final draft down here, is not going to be an A. So that's my lengthy way of saying, just because you get an A on the rough draft does not mean you're going to get an A on the final draft, because they're looking at two completely different things. Okay, so let's see. Here is a video that I have just done that tells you exactly how to set up your essay in MLA style so that it looks like everybody else's essay. So make sure you watch over that one. Here are the instructions on how to actually write a compare or contrast essay, because this asks you to do only one or the other. Now, it's unavoidable when you're doing a compare or a contrast. At some point, if you've chosen two things to talk about that are even remotely similar, there's gonna be some overlap there where you're gonna have to talk about comparison. You're gonna do some comparing, even if your focus is contrasting, and vice versa. Don't sweat that. When this says only compare or contrast, that means just focus on that thing, okay? You'll need to have a thesis statement, and by thesis statement, I mean something more than dogs are better than cats. First of all, that's a terrible topic. And second of all, better in what, by whose measurement are these things better or worse? Better or worse than what? So you want your thesis statement to be something more than that. And if you, let's see, if you watch this video and that video, they'll discuss that. I will leave that for those two videos. I don't want to make this video so long that you completely skip it. I don't care if you make me sound like a chipmunk and watch this on super fast play, but I don't want you to completely skip the video. So I will move on here. Make sure that your topic covers something that's two things that are not super obvious. Like I say here, cars and trucks, cats and dogs. We are moving away from the really basic stuff maybe that you did in high school, and we are moving into the things that are more collegiately, more of a collegiate level. Here is basically what you should follow in terms of what needs to go into your essay. You want to have at least one paragraph that has that hook, background info, and thesis statement. You want to have multiple supporting paragraphs. Each one needs to have a topic sentence. You need to have a conclusion. If you use research, which you don't need to do, you need to have a separate works cited page. You need to make sure it's in MLA style. It needs to be 3 full pages minimum. That's not 2.5 pages. That's not 2 3/4 pages. That's 3 pages. Don't count the works cited page. The works cited page never counts towards the page minimum. Use third person point of view and a formal tone. Don't use slang. Informal language, and don't use contractions. Don't use first person or second person. Do not directly address the reader. This means no rhetorical questions. Use transition words and phrases to strengthen points and showcase the similarities or the differences that you're focusing on. Use correct grammar. Don't plagiarize. Don't use ChatGPT. Remember what we talked about with regards to AI and how it's kind of sneaking into our lives in ways that we may not be aware. If you have forgotten what I'm talking about here, go back and revisit. Where is it? Yes, go back and revisit our video from Dr. Chris Flowers regarding AI use. It was a real eye-opener for me, and I'm afraid it might be for you guys as well. So let's see what else. Oh, yes. Let's look at this essay and talk about why it works as a good example. We have an opening paragraph that gives us exactly what we're looking for here. A good hook, a good grab for your reader to say, okay, this is different. We all know about, romance novels and that sort of thing, romance movies, whatnot. And we also know, unfortunately now in our culture, we know an awful lot about hate as well. So this should not be a shocker to think about love and hate as being two types of emotions. However, this person is arguing something that's kind of different. So I hope that you read through this thing in detail. I'm going to hit the high points, but I hope that you read it in detail. Love and hate are perhaps the two emotions that most people are familiar with. They are the two emotions that people spend a great deal of time either trying to attain, love, or avoid, hate. Most people believe that hate and love are on the opposite sides of some weird emotional spectrum, that the two are as far apart as the sun is from the moon. Most people would be wrong. The two feelings are not on opposite ends. They are not distant cousins. Rather, they are on the same end, different versions of the same feeling. They are more like siblings. It may take a while to digest that idea in order to completely comprehend it. Perhaps it would be better to think of it as opposite sides of a coin, closer in proximity but still different. Both hate and love are equally important human responses and spark intense feelings, have equal importance in one's life, and are extreme versions of an emotion. Here's our thesis statement. Now you'll see if you are familiar with how we like to structure academic writing, our thesis statement is essentially a roadmap. And it says we're going to talk about these three things in this particular order. And this person, puts them in that order and has their very basic opening topic sentence for each of those paragraphs that does exactly that. They do a great job up here of grabbing your attention with some of these phrases that they're using that are not what you would expect when it comes to a discussion of love or hate. Both hate and love are equally important human responses and spark intense feelings. So we're going to talk first about the intense feelings. Have equal importance in one's life. That's going to come next. And are extreme versions of an emotion. That's the last thing. So this is a very good thesis statement. And you might not be able to construct a thesis statement that's that good until you have done some brainstorming, some drafting. Just because you have a thesis statement that you get started with doesn't mean that you can't go back and revise it so that it actually does what you want it to do. So we have our first sentence in the next paragraph that gets into the intense feelings and emotions. Then we get into the next part of the thesis statement, how these two feelings are important. And please pay attention. Also, we've got some really good transitional language here, despite whatever images, etc., etc. In addition, whether it is hate or love, we've got some language that moves the reader from idea to idea, and that's what you want it to do. And then down here at the very end, we have our conclusion, where we restate basically what we've talked about, but in new words, and then we close it out with a really great final line. One connects people, the other protects them. I just think that's a really great ending to that essay. So please read through this whole thing. You'll see as you do, the organization comes through as being really good. The word choice, the variation in sentences sentence length is really good. For example, up here in this first paragraph, at the very beginning, most people believe that hate and love are on the opposite ends of some weird emotional spectrum, that the two are as far apart as the sun is from the moon. Most people would be wrong. We've got a really lengthy sentence that's got depth, and it's got some complexity to it. And then we've got a very straightforward, short sentence. So, you want to mix those up. You want to have really short, pithy, concise sentences mixed in with those lengthy, complex sentences that you are requiring your reader to kind of really read closely, but then you give them a break and you give them a shorter sentence. So that's kind of why that's a good idea. So we've got two different types of outlines here that you can use as you are working on this essay. You don't have to turn those in. It depends on which form of organization you want to use, but you don't have to turn in the outline in here. If you're in the other class, you might need to. I can't remember. I'll do a video over there as well. We've got some other videos associated with formal writing. We've got some things to read about writing in the third person, introductions and conclusions, that kind of thing. So make sure that you work through all of these videos and reading items one by one. Make sure you get them all done. And then work on that essay and submit it here before the due date. Let's see, the due date is April 5th. And then once this closes and goes away, it's gone and you no longer can submit. Now, I know that some folks have already started working on the quiz that's associated with this final draft submission. Please let me know if you are running into major problems with it. It's asking you to get a 100 on it because all of these questions, you can take it as many times as you feel like. All of these questions can be answered and are taken directly from let's see, where is it? They are taken directly from, it's going to be up here. Under course information, no, where is it? Here we go. Don't forget these things. It is, that quiz comes directly from here. And I'm going to put a link to this in the introduction to the quiz so that it's not so hard to find. I need a to-do list of my own for this week, don't I? So please let me know if you're having trouble with this, but my intent this is the first semester I've done this. My intent is to make sure that you're aware of all of these very important things that we have talked about previously, and that students really need to keep in mind as they're working. So if you want to work on that final exam and submit it, you want to make sure that you can get a 100 on that quiz. If you're smart, what you'll do is you'll have this page right here open up on one window, and you open up the quiz in another window, or you block copy this, throw it into a Word document, print it off, and have it right there in front of you as you're taking that quiz. I do not mean for this to be difficult for you, but I do mean for you to keep in mind that there are some rules here about timely submission and about AI and about cheating and that sort of thing. So please let me know, though, if you do run into problems. And like I said, you can take the quiz as many times as you want. Email me if you have any issues, any trouble with this week's work, and I hope that you have a wonderful week.